Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. Today on the show, I have a returning guest, Cedrik. Cedrik created Laugh Your Way Through the Louvre in 2016. He's a tour guide, a comedian, and since we last spoke, he's written several books and even created some audio guides. I can't wait to reintroduce you to Cedrik, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. So welcome back, Cedrik. How are you?
Hi. Thanks for having me. I'm fantastic. Thank you.
It's been a while since we chatted. You were one of my first guests during the pandemic when the show was started. And I know you were in a farmhouse. Things were kind of tricky then with the Wi-Fi. So I'm glad to have you back with the best audio possible.
Episode 68. I tried to listen to it again. I'm so happy you leave it on, but it's really hard. And I'm listening to a lot of podcasts, but the quality was not there. Well, it was COVID time. We had to improvise back then.
Yes, we were doing the best we could considering the times, but a lot has changed for you. I know we originally chatted about your Louvre tours. You make the Louvre funny. You add comedy to history, and you're still doing that. Tell us about that a little bit to start off.
Well, it's crazy. It's been 7 full years, and it's going to be the 8th anniversary of my show called Laugh Your Way Through the Louvre. And I can't believe there's still so many people coming from all over the world. They're still laughing in the Louvre. The reviews are still fantastic. So I'm still very much blessed with that. And there's not much to say. I think laughing is still a good way to visit any places, museums, cities, any places in the world.
I think you're definitely right. I think a lot of people can sometimes get bored in the museums, and you keep it interesting and keep it fun. And you've even translated that into audio guides. Talk a little bit more about that.
So that's my new project. It's been a project for quite a while, but I didn't feel legit for some reason. But know that I have more than 2,000 reviews on my experience on Airbnb Experiences that is saying that people enjoy my knowledge and I feel a little bit more, legit for some reason, even though I am incarnate tour guide from the Minister of Culture. You know, you always feel like you're a fraud of some sort for some reason. And because what I do is a little bit different from my colleagues, I was feeling like, I don't know, it took me some time. I did published a couple of books on art history as well, so maybe that explained. The university, believe me or not, a school to be specific, called me to give master classes 3 years in a row. And I just want to tell you this, like the first time they called me, I say, I think you got the wrong number or the wrong guy or something. Again, I was not feeling legit to give master classes. And I've been doing it for 3 years, and students, they did teach you a lot as well by asking like questions that really hurts, like, do actually art is useful for something in life? And I think that's probably the first question you should ask yourself. Do we actually need art?
And what is your answer to that question?
Well, it took me first when we did the first episode, I was writing the book in my little farm that I rent in Crozon in Bretagne. What a fantastic place in France, by the way. And I did wrote and did publish that book. And then I wrote and I published another one, a 500 pages book called History of Painting. Sadly, the second one is only in French. The first one called Love Your Way Through the Louvre is in English, and you can find it online. But I guess we put some links eventually. And the thing is, it took me like a lot of reading, a lot of thinking, a lot of chatting with friends, chatting with colleagues, following a lot of Collège de France master classes with like fantastic, great masters, and reading all the classics. And truth is, well, we realize, we do and we don't at the same time. We don't, because technically, when I was living in India, I talked to a guru and he told me we need two things in life, water and sleep, and that's pretty much it, right? But the thing is, like, we're humans, and we need more than that if we want to have a human kind of lifestyle. I'm always taking the example of World War II, when Jacques Jaujard actually saved, if I remember correctly, something like 60,000 pieces of art from the Louvre, taking it away from the museum, putting it safely into castles all around France against the authorization of the French government. So he saved that museum, which is now I used to call it my kindergarten, because I feel like it's a place where I like to play and to take people to play with me.
I love that you call it that you get to play there. I mean, there's something really to be said about playing at the Louvre. And it's really taking you to so many different places in life, from writing books and now teaching these master classes. And how has your work evolved? I mean, it sounds like a lot has changed, but how have you changed during this time?
Well, thank God, I was born French, so I was born lazy, and so that's a luck in life for sure. No, the thing is, like, you might know, the Louvre is the most visited museum on the planet. It is one of the biggest. It's more than 800,000 pieces of art, and they show only 50 to 60,000 pieces on display, exactly like during the 1940s. So the Louvre doesn't get bigger, of course. And the thing is, like, they rotate those pieces of art in 8 independent departments. So they change the show for me by just changing the pieces. So thank God, every time they change the pieces, I'm like, oh, thank you. You did the job for me. So I can make new jokes on new paintings and new sculptures. And I'm very happy about that.
Definitely. It makes your job a little easier when you got some new material to use. And talk about how you chose which pieces you're going to talk about for your audio guides. Like, how do you choose from all those thousands of pieces?
That's well, now we're not talking, the audio guide is not only in the Louvre. So far, I'm covering the San Francisco MoMA. I am in the Met in New York. I'm covering the National Gallery in London. I'm also doing places such as Paris, for example. That's my first city. But this year I'm going to do Mexico, because I spent 2 months traveling in Central America. I'm going to do Firenze. I'm going to do Rome. I'm going to do the Uffizi, so the Vatican, and so on, right? So I already have an agenda for 2025. As recording. So I'm recording 10 pieces per month. I call that an album. So for example, in January, I recorded Marc Chagall's museum here in Nice, where I live. And Chagall is not one of my favorite painter, but it's a moment of history that is absolutely fascinating. We call it La Ruche. It was in Montparnasse. And Chagall is coming from that time in Russia where they're going for pure abstraction, and they decide to go completely the opposite way and to stay figurative. And it's a time of, between the two wars, realism and philosophy. And this guy is talking about the biblical message. It was completely going against the stream. And I think that's why I started to love Chagall. So I guess that's to answer your question. I'm choosing basically what I consider badass painters. Just before we start that recording, I was recording my last publication on my audio guide, Cedrik Audio Guides on Patreon, and it's on Millet Angelus, that is in the Musée d'Orsay. And Millet was painting, maybe you remember that, peasants praying. It's a very famous piece from the Musée d'Orsay. While in 1863, everybody was fascinated by academies, which is a nice word in French to describe female nudity, mostly at the time. And they were all obsessed with painting nymphs and muses, and Millet decided to show peasants praying in the field, and people were literally offended by that. And he's just going against the stream. I think I like those guys who like going against the stream. But that's what we call avant-garde, when when we think about the most famous names, like I call them the Ninja Turtles because they are literally Ninja Turtles: Michelangelo, Raffaello, Donatello, or Leonardo. Why did these guys become Ninja Turtles? Well, literally because they were all going against the schools of Italy back in the day. They were told to do something, and they were doing exactly the opposite. But I give you one more example with Renoir. I did a piece on Renoir lately, and Auguste Renoir, who ended his life right here on the Riviera, a little bit in Nice. So I pass in front of his apartment. That's an inspiration from time to time. And Renoir, there's still today a hate club about Renoir. Can you believe that? There's a hate club about Renoir on Instagram, which is, it was started by students from, I think, the Royal Academy of London, so a very serious institute, and they're literally doing protests and should take Renoir off the museums. And I want to thank those guys because I don't know if they're right, they're legit or not, but I think it's interesting that whatever you think about painting, it should still be like, I don't know, something you should shout, you should be crazy about it. And a lot of my guests lately have been sending me the video about the Mona Lisa getting splashed with whatever kind of tomato soup or whatever. And I'm very happy, like, people get interested in the Mona Lisa one more time because people splash tomato soup for climate change or whatever the reason, right? I think it should be feeling like very fragile, like it's here for now, but maybe it's not going to be here forever. So we should enjoy it. And it's basically the underdogs. That's what interests me.
Yeah, and I love that you're bringing attention to them in that way, because a lot of times people are like, oh, it's art, we need to worship, we don't really know why. But knowing this history, it makes it so much more interesting, obviously. And do you have a favorite badass artist? Like, who is your favorite? I know it's like picking your favorite child, but do you have a favorite?
I do have a favorite child. Sadly, I got two boys, but no, okay, that was not the question. Okay. No, humor. Don't tell them I said that. No, it's very complex. So my first love definitely is still the same. It is Renaissance from Italy, right? I literally moved to Nice so I can go to Italy every month. I spend at least, no matter what, a couple of weeks in Italy every summer, going from little churches to little churches, and the early Renaissance. So really, when we move from that moment, when the market was mostly the church, so that's what we call those iconic Byzantine painting, Madonna and Child, and they're everywhere. And when they move from that to being treated by Raphael, by Leonardo da Vinci, and they decided to represent the human being for the first time. So first, when you look at Madonna and Child with the Byzantine iconic style, they're not humans. They're masks. They're not like really, there's no facial expression. They look like, I don't know, like sculptures. They don't look like humans. So that's where that moment in history when we decide to represent human beings. So that's my first moment. And of course, there's many Italian artists. I mean, I love them all. If I have to pick one, I'm probably going to take a Mantegna because Mantegna went in so many details. Mantegna in the 1470s, so late Quattrocento. And then the second moment that really interests me is probably because I did spend a lot of time in New York. My first job was being a book critic when I was in New York, and it was the abstract school of painting. So we are talking the time of Jackson Pollock and those kind of painters. I love Pollock because Pollock used to say, we're never going to be able to get over Picasso. And even a guy like de Kooning from exactly the same school and the same time used to say, I had a choice. De Kooning used to say, I had a choice. I had to be abstract or I have to be figurative. And I decided the figure was still more interesting than being abstract. I know he's famous for his Women, which are a series that are absolutely fascinating still today because we don't really get it. We don't understand what it is. How did that happen? How did those guys, and de Kooning, when he was in Paris, used to say, I was in school and I was spitting Picasso again and again, and we couldn't pass Picasso. Picasso took all the good ideas. And nowadays, my students, and that's why the students are fantastic, they ask me, Cedrik, can we create something new? And I'm like, the answer is coming from ancient Greek, as I'm studying a lot of ancient civilization from Mesopotamia to the Greeks, the Romans. Right now, I'm reading a lot of literature in Latin. And the answer is coming from those guys because the word art is coming from Latin, which was a translation from the Greek word techne, so technique, technology. So art is always a new technology. If you want to think about it, think about the latest scandal in art history. That was Banksy, the girl with a balloon shredded in half. Everybody have seen that on social media. That's two technology, social media as mentioned, and a Bluetooth remote control. And that's it. There was a scandal. Technologically, it has never been done before, and it became the most famous painting in the world, just like that. So it's still technological. And as technology is going crazy fast right now, yes, artists will find a new way to put, I don't know, floating paintings in the street, because we're all going to have like, I don't know, goggles with like internet in it. I'm saying, I don't know, because that's the great thing. We just don't know. I give you one last example, and then I'll let you ask me a question. I'm always thinking, like, what if Leonardo da Vinci is coming back today on the planet 500 years after he passed in 1519? And he's asking me, okay, Cedric, so where are we with the art world right now? I'm going to take him straight to Pompidou, the Museum of Modern Art in Paris, and I'm going to let him look at a Jackson Pollock. And I'm going to ask him, so Leonardo, what do you think about that Jackson Pollock? And he's probably going to answer something like, sorry, what are we looking at exactly? Because he won't get it. It's 500 years of painting that passed by, and also at least 400 years, because Pollock is more in the 1930s. And it would be impossible for him to get him. It would be impossible. So if you froze one of us right now and we get unfroze, and I know some people are doing that in California as we speak, in 500 years, we won't be able to understand anything around us, because technology would have completely changed the world in a way that we can't imagine today. And that's why it's fascinating. That's why the art world will never end.
And speaking of technology in the art world, how do you feel about AI in the arts? What are your feelings about what's happening and all the controversy right now?
Well, again, it's technology. So going against technology, I don't know. It's like it's like painters. It's like the Impressionists thinking like photography will never become a form of art. I do enjoy photography. As a matter of fact, I'm obsessed with it. I go to art, to the festival, stuff like that. And yes, no, a friend of mine is doing a lot of things, and he won a lot of prizes with VR and stuff like that. I went to a few exhibits where they put a mask on me so I can walk on a planet that did not exist. Honestly, the experience was just absolutely amazing, and that would not be possible without AI. So am I freaking about it because it's going to replace human beings? We said that for years. I mean, if AI want to take I don't know place, it will, because there's no way around it, right? And but good thing I'm working into jokes, and one thing computers can't do right now is jokes. Even AI can't do jokes.
So your job is safe. You can still be funny. The robots are not funny
No,
yet.
it's not even me. It's really human beings. I mean, we know AI can write a novel. We know AI can compose some musics, and they will probably be able to make jokes at one point. But for some reason, I feel like we can always make some sort of a difference. And if we don't, we're going to make some laws about it, because human beings from the origin of civilization, and that's why I'm studying a lot those Mesopotamians in Babylon and the first civilization from 4000 BC, when we decided to live together in cities, we decided we need to have laws, and that's why I'm living under a system of being the civil code that we have in France, which is fantastic. And we always find a way to integrate AI for some. I think human beings are going to integrate AI before AI can integrate us.
I think that's good news for all of us. And talk a little bit about the importance of art in today's world. Why should we care today? I mean, you've studied the history, you've studied the masters. Why is it important today? Is it any different from the importance of the past?
Well, first thing, I've seen the biggest exhibits last year in 2023 in Paris. The lines to see Nicolas de Stael, which is between abstract and figurative, well, completely insane. The lines to get to see Van Gogh, which is still a few days left in the Musée d'Orsay, if I'm correct, is completely booked. The Louvre, everything is so booked. That means people are still fascinated by getting into museums, into art galleries. I've been to a few opening of art galleries. You can hardly grab a glass of champagne, which is very sad. And so people are still fascinated with it, which is already a good sign, no matter what. Is it essential? Again, I already answered that by saying we only need water and sleep as human beings. But for some reason, if you want to put a smile on your face, and what the point being a human if you don't have a smile on your face, you will need at one point a little bit of a poetry, a little bit of music, or a little bit of art around you. And I think art is really important for that theory. I just finished a fantastic book, reading that book called How Renaissance is going to Shape the 21st Century, how Renaissance from the Italians, so the Quattrocento, the Cinquecento is going to shape the 21st century. And I even wrote to the writer that I loved the book, and she wrote me back that she was really moved by that. So that's really good. That proves we're still humans. You can't write to AI that you love this book. And, or maybe you can, I don't know. And I think she's saying in that book something that I believed in for years, like the princes of Tuscany, in one of my favorite cities in the world next to Arezzo is called Cortona. Sorry for the Italians listening to that postcard and I'm butchering your language. They make the city so beautiful that they say this beauty around you is inspiring beauty on your daily life. And because you live in a beautiful city, you want to dress very well, you want to sing very well, you want to sing correctly, you want to play the piano correctly, stuff like that. So it gives you the idea of harmony, and you want to be surrounded with harmony all the time. And that's where fine arts comes in. I give you one more example. One day I was asking my students the question you asked me: what is your favorite piece of art? And one of the girls said, I don't care about art. I don't like it. I think it's useless. I'm like, okay, take off your clothes. She's a 19-year-old girl. She was very offended by the fact that I asked her to take her clothes, but it was in like 120, 100 students, right? And she's like, why do you want me to do that? Because your clothes, last time I checked, have been designed by a designer. And that designer, to cut those clothes, have been to a fine art school where he learned how to draw, how to paint, etc., etc. So you are technically wearing art on you, either you like it or not. No, take off your jewels, because your jewels is actually one of the first form of art, as we know. We know cavemen were wearing necklaces and stuff like that, so we know it's a form of art. So yes, if you want to say I want to live in a world where there's no art whatsoever, well, you got to live like an animal in the forest. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it's unavoidable, and what a sad world that would be. I mean, why would we want that world? And talk a little bit about how you would define creativity in your own words. I know I ask all my guests this question, but I'm wondering if that's changed for you and how you would define it today.
Yes, something changed for sure. I'm being more and more cautious with being super duper accurate with what I say. Last time I was explaining the coronation of Napoleon, and I said it's happening in Notre Dame in December 1804. And one of my guests was like, no, it was not in 1804. It was like in 18 whatever. I was pretty certain of what I was saying, but just in case, I don't want to offend anyone. So I say, sorry if I get it wrong, we'll fix it. And you know what? She wrote me an email a few weeks later saying that she checked and I was actually correct. It was December 1804. So I'm trying to be like really, really super accurate on the dates. And I'm always thinking when I was in India, in an open museum with sculpture. And I remember I took what we call a dollar guide, and this guy said on the left, this is old, and on the right, this is very old. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, but you keep saying this is old and this is very old, and I'd like to say how old. And the guy turned back and he was really pissed at me, and he said, I just told you very old. So I try to be more and more specific, very precise. I believe in the Latin formula serio ludere. To be funny, you have to be very, very specific. You can't kid with movements. And the thing is, like in the past, I don't know what, like 4 years, we talked to each other. I read so much literature around art, but I also read about philosophy. I'm publishing a book of philosophy this year. I did travel as much as possible. Yes, I'm part of the revenge travel movement on the planet. I'm ashamed of it, but that's a fact. So, trying to be more and more specific and trying to answer more and more questions that my guests are asking me when they come to the Louvre with me. That's very, very, very important to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely important. And I love that you've only grown since we last talked. And from reading all those books and philosophy and writing even more of your own books, how would you define creativity?
Yes, that's true. I was trying to avoid that question. You got me there. No, the process. I think it's doing it every day. Literally, I'm waking up quite early. I was born with that luck that I don't need that much sleep, so I can wake up very early, and very early in the morning I just start reading and writing. That text this morning I wrote about me. I wrote it between 5 and 6:30 in the morning. And so I know that text was ready, and know I recorded it in the afternoon, and I put it on my website, and it's going to be available on Sunday. So I do it every single day, literally reading every day, writing a little bit every day. I know you started with Hemingway as an inspiration for you. Hemingway used to say, write every day, even if it's 8 hours, if there's only one sentence good on this 8 hours you've been writing at your desk, well, it's still one sentence. I do believe in that. So, how do you say consistency? Is that the word?
Exactly, consistency.
Mm-hmm. I do believe in that.
So creativity is all about being consistent and showing up for you.
And letting surprise you. Of course, here it's not really well put, but so. Another example of my students, I really love them because they say, yeah, but Cedrik, you know everyone, you're invited to openings and art galleries. I'm like, guys, you live in Paris. You want to go to the opening of an art gallery, just walk in the street. You're going to bump into one. You're not invited to an art gallery. I mean, you have a friend who's a painter or who's doing, I don't know, sculpture, whatever. Do visit his studio. Go look at the painters. You can't tell me you don't know anyone. And you know what? They had a really weird reply. They say, yeah, but Cedrik, now we spend our lives on our phones. And I'm like, well, then don't. Simple as that, you know? It's like that thing is attached to you. Just put it in your pocket, or just even better, leave it at home and literally walked in the street of Paris. Go to cafe, talk to people. If you go to Paris into a cafe, how many people you need to talk to before you run into an artist? 2, 3, maybe just one, right? We are in that city, a big city like this one. Everybody's an artist at one point. So yeah, talk to people. Let yourself be surprised and try to go to weird stuff like, like the coach. And I do have to say, I took a coach to create my first experience. So I do believe coaching is a fantastic tool, by the way. And I was a stand-up comic, not very successful. I was a tour guide, very happy, but I was one of the many's. And I went to see that coach. We worked together many sessions, and she told me, well, maybe you should mix your two jobs together, which I did. And I became a comic and a tour guide at the same time.
And how do you make art funny? I mean, obviously you have to know a lot, but how do you find the humor in it? How does it work for you? What's your process look like?
I make jokes all the time about everything. Believe me, my family is annoyed about it enough. So that's the thing. Living with a comic is probably not the funniest thing. It's famous about that. I read any biography of Charlie Chaplin or any comic, and all their wives and relatives are always complaining about those people being like not so funny and trying to make jokes all the time, stuff like that. So yes, it's true that some pieces I have to let go. But for example, right now that I've been working on the year 1863, that was very controversial in the middle of the Second Empire, and Paris was very serious, right? Paris was very serious because he was a Napoleon III. He was the empire. People go to the opera, and I don't know, for some reason, the life became so serious that Montmartre became in the place where all the illegal cabarets are opening and people are dancing and they're drinking too much absinthe and everything is completely wild. So there's always a new place of culture that is happening. It worked with New York. At one point, New York became boring and Brooklyn popped up. I mean, Manhattan became boring and Brooklyn popped up. So there's always a place. It worked with Paris. At one point, people were going in the 1968, where all the students were protesting in the street. Paris, everything was boring, so they had to go see movies and theaters outside of the city, and so many of those places became famous. So it was basically the underground. So again, yes, looking for the underground, that's probably something that is the answer for creativity. And again, be surprised. I just did a piece of Chagall, and Chagall is one of those painters that annoys me because I don't really aesthetically, it's not moving me per se, but the fact that the guy talked about the biblical message, which I find fascinating. All the religious books fascinate me because we all come from mythology. So mythologies, for example, they could be funny. I mean, when you think about it, right? Jesus walking on the water, just saying that sentence is funny per se, right? And now that I'm working on the relationship between the Roman Empire and their religions, a guy like Cicero, you say Cicero in English? Yeah, Cicero. Cicero?
Yes.
Cicero? Okay, no, Cicero.
Oh.
So Cicero used to say that people, the common people believing there's gods, it was completely stupid because Cicero was a philosopher, but then he was attending to all the rituals because it was important to him. So the thing is like, even today, every time there's something dramatic happening in life, people go to churches, even if they don't believe in anything. So I guess creativity is something like that, like how human beings, we have strong beliefs, and then those beliefs, you shook them a little bit. Let me say something that is very important to me. When I was writing that book of philosophy, one of my first teachers used to say, truth in Greek is... it's like, for him, he said, it's like shaking a tree. So shaking to put in place. So if you want something to be very stable, you have to shake it. And if it's falling apart while you shake it, that means you should not put your trust in that. But if you shake it and it's still there, here is your truth. Here is your compass. That's what you should follow. And you know what? People from the resistance during World War II used to say exactly that. Because when everything is very troubled, and I think we are living in a troubled world, and I can tell by my students who had to leave through COVID in their 16, 17 years old, which is probably the worst time where you don't want to be at home for sure, stuck with your parents. When they're troubled, I'm like, so do apply that. Try to shake things and clearly get into an art gallery, and they will shake it for you. Believe me, because art is here to shake things.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on, to shake things up and to shake even your work to see if it's sticking together, if it's worthy of continuing. And where can people connect and check out your audio guides, check out your books, everything you want to share with people? Let them know right now.
I want to share, but before I just wanted to congrats you on your success, because I wanted to do it in the beginning and I forgot to say that on your podcast. And it made me think of one thing. That's really one thing I really wanted to say. When I was giving conferences in India, because my first job was making documentaries on water pollution, at one point I was giving a conference in New Delhi, and a student asked me the question, why do you come to New Delhi and talk about the problems of India? And he said, don't you have your own problems in your own country? And my answer was very simple, like, why don't you come to my country and solve my problems? So that's why I'm very happy I'm talking to you, and that you take care about the cultural life of Paris with your podcast, La Vie Créative. But to answer... Sorry, go ahead.
That's very kind of you to say.
No, that was very important.
I appreciate that. No, but I love sharing people's work, and I love all the things you've done since we've last talked, and the books, and some of them are in English, guys. So you got to check out Cedrik's books and the audio guides. Obviously, you can tell how passionate he is. And tell people more about that so people can join in.
Two things. So first, you can go either on Giotto or on Airbnb experiences to find Love Your Way through the Louvre. I'm mostly limited to one experience right now because I want to do it. I want to do it the best I can. Second thing is Cedrik Audio Guide. It's on Patreon, and there's 70 audio guides so far. If you want to have the free stuff you get on my YouTube channel, where I'm talking about art history, where I'm talking about philosophy, I just come back from a 2-month travel, going all the way from Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, getting illegally into San Salvador for some reason, and stuff like that, right? I spent the entire summer 2023 in the Bay of Napoli, hitting Herculaneum and Pompeii, and just fantastic places in Italy. If you haven't been, you need to. And if you don't have the time to, well, just get on my Cedrik Audio Guys on Patreon, or just get on my YouTube channel, and you'll find many informations in there. And you going to laugh, I can guarantee you that.
Well, we will share all those links in the show notes. Make sure you check out, guys, because he is amazing. He's fascinating and he makes it funny. So you'll keep your attention. So we'll share all that in the show notes and on the blog. And thanks so much for chatting with me today, Cedrik.
You were fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. Long live la vie créative.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.